Hey everybody, it's Paul at Old Anvil Speed Shop, and we just got in this 1986 Corvette. It's got a 383 stroker with a ProCharged. It's an out-of-state car, so it doesn't need emissions. And we're going to upgrade this thing with a Holley EFI. Apparently it's got an older unit that, hell, we don't even know what it is. It doesn't even have a label on the current EFI in it. So we're going to replace all that, and we're going to upgrade ignition and fuel and see what kind of power we can get out of this thing. So this is what we've got. Pulled the passenger side seat out, and you can see there's all the dash. It kind of traced the wires from the engine compartment back, and this is the current ECU. Like I say, it has no labels, and there's nothing on it at all. So I'm not sure. I've never seen this before. I have no clue what it is. So basically, I'm gonna have to figure out, well, I guess where a fuel pump trigger is located off of this thing, so we can control our fuel pump. We don't want to have to go into that part of the system. It's already working well, and maybe just trace out our trigger wires. And I think we're going to pull this part of the dash out. I guess the original ECU is back in here, and I think it's still in there. So we're probably gonna pull this apart, or maybe even go just under the dash here and see what we've got. Maybe we can mount our new ECU underneath here. We're going to use the Terminator X from Holley and get all this set up. In the engine compartment here, I kind of pulled some stuff out. This looks like all the original harness. This has the EV1 connectors for the fuel injectors, and as you can see here, it's already been replaced. It's like a BBK Power Plus. So this is a fairly old system, apparently. Looks like, you know, we're set up. I'm not sure what these coil packs are. Just perhaps a Ford. I'm not sure how all that was working, but we're just going to replace all this. We're actually going to use a Holley Smart Coils and make our own brackets here, so we can have short plug wires and run all that. And we're going to replace this cam crank trigger. Basically, this setup had a reluctor wheel in it, and was getting a signal, but I'm not sure what kind of signal. I'm not even going to count the teeth. We're just going to replace that with a Holley dual sync distributor, so that'll take care of our ignition timing. So again, we're going to run a Holley Terminator X. The car does have a 5-speed in it, so we're not going to need any kind of transmission control. It's not drive-by-wire, so we don't need the Terminator X Max. And here are Holley Smart Coils. So we're going to make some brackets for those, and this is the Holley dual sync distributor, and we'll get that set up as well. So I guess we'll start by taking off all these plug wires and coil wires. Let's see if we can get all this stuff apart. Kind of interesting. It looks like these coil wires are actually going to the other side. It's kind of wild, I guess, the way it's broke up. But we're going to eliminate all that. We'll have each set of coil packs on each side with the new system. So I got the coil pack off. It was really stuck. Somebody siliconed the backing plate on here, so I guess they were trying to seal up the oil. There's some oil leak, so we'll probably get some new sealing washers to put on here on the valve covers when we put this thing back together. But trying to get these out. These are EV1 injectors. Basically, you just push in on that little wire right there, and it should release. One thing I need to do, I need to figure out what size injectors these are, so I'm going to have to see if I can find a part number on here. So when we go to program this thing, we will have to know what size injectors these are, because we don't have a way to look in the old computer and see what they had. So it does look like they have a service port right here. We can check, put a gauge on there and check fuel pressure, or we could even go in there and put a sensor in there. Looks like this is their pressure regulator. What else have we got here? So this BBK throttle body, I know those guys, they still make throttle bodies. I've seen those, but it's a mechanical throttle body. So all that's going to stay intact. We're not messing with any of that. We're pretty much just replacing all the electronics on this thing. Another thing we have to unhook is the throttle position sensor. You see this thing, as that butterfly opens and closes, this goes on the end of the shaft and it measures where that position is. It's very critical, and we'll have to actually go through a TPS setup when we set up the Holley, and it'll know the positions of it as it goes through its cycle. And so we'll get that unhooked. And this didn't have a map sensor. The map sensor is actually inside the car. It goes into the computer, into the ECU itself. So I think that's what this hose is. It looks like it's running through the hole in the firewall. So we'll hook that back up inside to the Terminator X ECU. So that'll be the easy way to do that. Well, we don't have to purchase a map sensor. And I guess we'll have to get down in there somewhere and find the O2 sensor where that's hooked up. And don't know if I'm forgetting anything. There may be a manifold air temperature. We may have to find that and see if they have something hooked up, but we'll keep pulling wires out and see. Something I forgot to do. I did not unhook the battery. We did put a new battery in this thing because it wasn't cranking at first. We thought that was the problem, and so I do need to unhook this one. So it's got a new battery in it for when we get going again. Corvette's kind of neat. We have to take this whole panel off to get the battery out, but at least I can get to it here to unplug it. Originally I thought the problem with it was some of these wires, they weren't hooked up very well. So I fixed some of that, got these relays working, but that wasn't the problem. The ECU is just the little light on it it was just barely flickering, and I could see it was waterlogged. It'd probably been full of water, so I am sure it's toast and it's old and don't know how to program it. So get this battery unhooked and we'll keep going. So I was trying to pull the wires out for this throttle position sensor, and I found a couple more sensors we got to deal with. Down in here, you can see this looks like it's probably the air temperature, and down in there is a coolant temperature switch. It's like it's going in the manifold, so we'll be replacing those as well. This one might be a little difficult to get out of here. Looks like our fuel lines are running up through here, so we'll have to see how that's going to work out. Okay, so now I got all the coil packs off, all the wiring out. I've traced it down. This is controlling the fuel pump. Looks like so we're just going to hook this up to our Holley. It'll be safe because it has it's already fused and relayed. So I'm not sure if this is going to relay here, but I can, when I energize this with my power probe, I can hear the fuel in the fuel rails, so I know this is the fuel pump. And it looks like this is going to green wires in the on the ECU. This is going to this green wire, and looks like this is for the tach, for the factory tach. So I think that's pretty much got everything covered. If y'all don't have a power probe, probably should. That's something I think everybody should have. This is my power probe, and it works so well to diagnose. You can hook it up to your battery, or in this case I hooked it up to my alternator and a ground, and they give me power, and then you can hit the the top button here, and that's your power. And you can also test a ground by giving it a ground signal. So I was able to check that just enough to get the fuel pump going and diagnose that and figure out what we've got. So I think it's time to start looking at our install. I didn't get sensors with the Holley kit that I ordered. From the Terminator kit, it's a universal multi-port fuel injection kit. It did not have sensors, and this is not an LS, so it didn't have sensors in it. But I went on Riley's our commercial account and was able to get sensors for this, and we'll do a manifold air temperature. We'll do a 3-bar map sensor. It's actually coming from a Pontiac Firebird that had a V6 turbo in it. So it's a 3-bar map sensor. And also I got a coolant temperature switch that was like a 90s model truck, Chevy truck. So it has a 1/4-inch national pipe thread on it, so we can screw that in the front of the manifold. But looks like we got everything's pretty much ready to go. All right, now I got it, brought it up on top dead center. I found the mark on the front. It's a little difficult to find, but I found it, got it on top dead center. So I am going to break this loose and get this distributor out of here. Sorry about that. Trying to do this one-handed. I've had this wrench since I was a teenager. Made this distributor wrench up for small block Chevys. It works great. Got 9/16 box end wrench. I'll slide this back. Doesn't look to be too dirty down there. I don't want a bunch of dirt dropping in it. But, yeah, she came right out. See if we can get this connector off. It's got some kind of military connector on it, looks like. I guess it's reading, this sensor must be reading all the, oh yeah, you can see the magnetic tip in there. But, yeah, you can see that little the magnet sensor in there reads all the teeth on that reluctor wheel. All right, so we got that military spec fitting off, and hopefully she'll come out of there. Oh yeah. One thing I'll note, after getting this out, I wasn't sure. It does not have a bronze gear on it, so I think we'll be fine. We'll go back with our steel gear. It's something always to think about, if you need a bronze gear or not for the camshaft. Okay, now we're gonna start wiring this thing up. So here we got, I've got tied this into the harness. This is the harness we got for the smart coils. So it's a kind of a universal deal. I've already cut it to length. So I've got we're going to repin these and pin them into the main harness for the smart coil. And here's off of this is kind of my go-to sheet for multi-port fuel injection. And you can see here in this P1B connector that we're going to do the EST connections, and they're already labeled by colors and they match up to our new harness for the smart coils. So we're going to tie those in before we fish this thing through the firewall, and we're ready to start hooking things up. So here's actually the coil unplug ignition harness. That's the part number 558-3807, and this is actually the full pin out. If you can see that, it's all comes in the instruction sheet, and that's what we're going to. So it comes with all the pins, and so they're these little round pins, and we'll use our crimper, which is I use a Blue Point crimper. Find that in the box here. That'll be this one. It's I use it's a Blue Point PWC 47. This is like a universal one that works for about everything. This is kind of my go-to. So we'll strip these back and pin these up. So one thing we will have to do is the power for this comes from a 12 volt relay, so we will want to give these 12 volts. And then also there's a ground which goes back into the established ground out of the out of our ACU. So those need to be connected. They are not connected in the harness, so we've got to connect these, which is the black and yellow wires, and then we also have actual grounds, which these two solid black grounds, these two solid black grounds, they get tied into the back of the head, and then these are black with a yellow stripe. They're the ones that go to ground into the ECU. So we've got to do that, plus put our pins on, and then we'll have everything connected for the smart coils. So Holley sends this TexFlex. It's the split loom, and it comes with the kit. So we are going to connect these two. These will slide up a little closer. Oh yeah. So we keep our labels on there so we know what they are. 'Cause one's even and one's odd. So we will wrap these around, and we will have to have the grounds for the heads, so they will be close by. I guess we'll do two separate grounds, one for each head. According to what coils we are, that'll give us a better ground, so we get a better spark. That's what it's all about. Clean power and lots of spark. So I will get this all wrapped up, and then we'll tape these ends, and I will tie the two ground signal wires together, and then separate these two wires to go to the heads, and then we'll also separate our power so we can have a common 12 volt power. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to this is my established ground that goes back to the Terminator X. So I've cut all that to length, so this will be the same length as the other pinned terminations I've already made. And the way I do this butt connection is I will strip all these back, and I use these little crimped deals that and then I will use a 3/16 adhesive lined shrink tube on that. So first of all, I will slide these over those two, and then I'll strip these back about 1/4 of an inch. And then this one's already pinned because I had cut that one off, so I saved it. And we'll cut that one back. Then I can slide them all in here. Think again, maybe I should start with these. This one's going to be a little tight. Yep, so all three of them are connected. I do not like soldered connections like this, because if you solder it, it can wind up breaking the wire over time. And my crimpers, I'll crimp that. So that's nice and tight. I'll slide that 3/16 tube over it. I use my finger so I can estimate about where it needs to be. And I slide it up against that. And then we'll take a torch and slowly heat that. Kind of heat it on all sides. And we have a butt connection that will last for years to come because it's all sealed. It melts that adhesive inside. So another little trick I have when I'm cutting this Tex Flex, I have these Klein scissors. They're like little they're scissors I guess the telephone guys use and cable guys, but they just work really well. They've stayed sharp. I use them all the time. I cut all of my shrink tube with it because it doesn't mash it together and gives a nice piece, and it doesn't really fray the Tex Flex. And then we are going to I have a couple of different kinds of Tessa tapes I use. This one is it's kind of a fuzzy kind. Works good for a lot of interior stuff to finish ends if I have split loom inside or anything, but a lot of times you can just wrap the whole thing with it. And then this one is more like a canvas. This one's gotten kind of twisted up, but this is like a really strong. I use this for exterior stuff that I want to just finish the ends. So I want to keep this nice and tight when we pin it, when it goes in the connectors. So I'll kind of push and pull these a little bit to get them all together and straight. And then I'm going to tape the end of it. Actually, I think I will cut that back a little shorter. We can always tape these up a little bit in the end. So I know there's probably better ways to do this. People have opinions on stuff, but one of the things I like to do is make time on this. Sometimes a customer can't afford to do IndyCar style stuff that's just super high end. So I have found ways to do it very well that lasts, but it's economical too. So this Tessa tape seems to really work well on these ends rather than trying to shrink tube everything. And you can actually get this stuff back apart. And that gives a nice connection. Now we will pin these. So I have the main harness out now. This is the smaller connector of the two. This would be the B connector on the Terminator X. And there's plenty still open there, so I'm sure that's the ones we're looking for. Looks like it's B15 through B18 and B21 through B24. So the back of these connectors are labeled. There's numbers on the back so you can kind of line it up. So like this one is B, this one would be this black with yellow, that is 14. So the next one would be 15, which is the first one we need. So we'll have to take these plugs out and we'll put them in there. To get this out, we have to push these little white tabs. Oh, maybe I'm on the wrong side. I am. Got to push the big white one, and then that'll open this up where we can get these out. That's it. Will not grab a hold. There we go. There's a silicone kind of boot down inside the seals of these pins, being a little difficult. Here's some with serrations. Now they're coming. So that's those 4, and then it's actually this one's already going to something. That's our ground out, so we might have to tie into that one. Double that one up. Then we also have the out, which is B20, so we'll need that one too, so we can tie our red wires into that for power. Or we go to the relay. Actually, we'll go to the relay. That'll give us better power. So we don't need 20. So let's put that one back in, so we know not to use it. So now we'll start inserting our pins. So looks like green and white. So we have two separate sides, light green and dark green. So we'll start with the dark green. Dark green and white goes to pin B15. So there's 15. All the way in. The next one is orange and white. Next one, blue and white. So that'd be the dark blue, not the light blue. Then pink and white. So that would all be all the one side. And then for the other side, we're gonna start at 21, which is yellow and white. And then gray and white. And then we got light blue and white. And light green and white. And that's how they're pinned. And then when I'm done, I'll pop these 2 back in, and that'll lock all those pins. We gotta make sure they're all in there good. Looks like we might have a couple that aren't quite. You can kind of see in that side where they are, so I'll make sure they're all in there first. But we got to figure out this ground because it's already taken by something, and it may not be going to anything we're using, so got to figure that one out, what it's going to. Okay, did some I used my voltmeter, check resistance, and I figured out what this ground was for. I thought it was going to something as part of it, but it was actually going to the CAN bus connector, which I don't think we need, because the CAN bus actually has power and ground. All we should need is the signal wires that for when we do the tuning on this thing. So I'm just gonna pull that out. We'll kind of tape this up in case we have to ever put it back. So we'll in turn, this will be our established ground there. So yep, so we got that figured out. Just part of having a voltmeter and checking continuity. I checked it through the grounds. I couldn't find the yellow wire, and finally I traced it back and saw it here on this CAN bus connection. All right, I'm going to change out the manifold air temperature sensor. Looks like this one has like an old EV1 style connector on it. Yeah, looks just like the injectors. So got this one. This is like a I found it actually fits a ton of stuff, but it's I got that from O'Reilly's. It is part number AS210, standard ignition part. It's I guess it's used in a lot of GM cars, but it has looks like it has a 3/8 MPT fitting on it. So that'll give us our air temperature. Get some of these sensors changed out. So I had one of our fabricators, Jake, he made these plates to replace the old ones we had on here. So now we've got our Holley smart coils mounted, and now we'll make up some new plug wires. So these will be nice and short. With the coil on plug, we don't have to go and cross over like those others were. So we're going to go directly to each plug. This will be 1, 3, 5, and 7, and then 2, 4, 6, 8 on the other side. And I've measured, and these are about 10 inches long, so I'm going to start out with some 12-inch pieces. We'll do the ones on the other end and then do these. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do these. We have this neat little cutter that we can cut it to get the spiral core exposed. So I make it about 3/4 of an inch, 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch in, and basically I just turn it and it puts a nice little cut on it. So, and then I twist it clockwise and it just pulls right off. And then we take our ends. They come, they're spread apart. So we put the end on first. I take this and I squeeze it a little bit and then put it in there. And there we go. That's how it's crimped. We do have these tools. We will have them on our website. We keep these in stock here for our spark plug sets. We also have cloth covered wire, and I think if we have some interest, we'll start selling these individually, maybe according to what you need and how many feet of wire you need. I think that would be a great way to go. So I'll do each of these ends, and then I usually spray some silicone spray. We spray it in here, and then we just insert it into till it seats, and it's good to go. So I'll do these. We'll put them on the car and then cut them to the exact length we want. So I got I put the plug wires on the partials that I've made up, and we're gonna put 45-degree boots on here. So I think actually I'm gonna leave these all like 12 inches long. They actually work out kind of neat, so that they'll come back 45 degrees. So I'll pull these back off. We'll take them over to the bench and finish making them all up. Something I forgot to mention earlier is that when you put the ends on, you have to fold these over. Your center core, you fold it over and it goes against the back side. That gives you a good connection to that inner part. You don't want a whole bunch hanging out. And then when you crimp it, the pliers are super important. This is the only set I found that really work well. MSD actually has some that are decent, but they still don't quite as good as these. Like I said, we found these are Protronics. Sometimes they're hard to find. Like I said, we will have them available because I always keep a couple sets here. And yeah, so the 45-degree boots we put on, because these are smart coils, so they take a standard like spark plug wire end. It's not the special LS end. So there's one. I'll make up the rest. One thing we have to do is, so I was mistaken earlier, this is actually the idle air control valve. Couldn't really see it down underneath there, but it's a 4-pin connector. So this is the one that comes with the Holley harness. So we are going to have to convert that over to what was the old weather pack style 4-pin connector. So we'll cut this and repin it, and then our idle air control valve will work. Yep, so to repin this is the original connector that was on there, and we are going to take the pins out. So to do that, it takes this little this tool, which is this This one's a Matco, and but it's just a simple little tube that slides over the pin and goes in there and unlocks it. So we will start taking these out one by one. Oh, there it comes. They were already pretty loose. So these things have little detents right here. If you can see those little guys, these little detents. Basically that tube slides over it, pushes in on those detents, and allows the pin to come out. So that's how weather pack works. This is like old GM stuff. Usually you can identify it by the green silicone. Some of them have purple or gray, but most of them have the green. But yeah, we'll repin this with some new pins. I keep these pins here in stock, so we'll repin this to the new harness. One of the great things about the internet is you can almost always find some kind of image or something of how pins are laid out. This is from EFI Connection. They sell this pigtail if you need to replace the pigtail if you don't have the parts. So you could easily just cut and crimp these back together, but they give us all the colors for the Holley EFI. They give us the colors of the wiring and what pin it is in that connector. So we'll go hook all that up. So the weather pack's pretty neat how they work. I found a new one. I actually had some of these, and the other one was missing this back clamp that clamps the rubber seals, the silicone seals in. So I'm replacing these. These are the correct size seals for these. I've already stripped that one back for the for how much we need to stick out for the pins, and I'll go ahead and crimp all the new pins on. These are a little unique in how they go on. The pin actually goes around that silicone seal and crimps. It's pretty neat how it works. This was a huge thing for GM back in the day. It was a real game changer for their cars. They still use some of these today. One thing I found is the pins kind of bend when you crimp them, so you kind of have to straighten them back. And that's how it works. And I'll do the rest, and then we'll pin it out in the connector. So we'll take these, I've got all these all crimped on, and here's our connector. They'll go in this end, and if you look at it, there's they're actually labeled, yeah, right here, labeled. There's A, B, C, and D, so that coordinates to our sheet. They've got them labeled, so now I'll put the correct ones in there, purple and yellow. So it'd be purple with a yellow stripe. It goes to connector A, so that'll go there. B is purple and blue. So that's purple and blue, and you can see they just slide in and click when they're all the way in, and you can see the pin. So this, I'm not sure this one would be considered female or male. I would assume it's male in their designation. All right, so C is the purple and black to C, and D is purple and white. So now they are all connected in there, and then this retainer just simply folds around, clicks, and then we'll put this in and it'll snap on there. And we have a new connector on there that should be pinned out correctly for the Holley harness. Alright, so looks like the retainer goes on the top side here. I can get that back in there with these fuel lines. Oh, nope, it's on the bottom side, so I won't go in. Yep, there it is. It clicked. So it's in, and now we'll have the This is our throttle position sensor. Should be labeled TPS. And looks like we're going to have to redo that one as well. So let me go find some pins and redo that one, and we'll keep on connecting all these up. Manifold air temperature, that'll go on the other side. And there's a coolant temperature switch, which we've also got to change out here on the front. So I'll go do those, and we'll move on to the next step. So before I got too far on putting all this together, I wanted to check and make sure what these injectors are. And it looks like these are Excel 40-pound injectors. It says 40 right there. And after looking it up, that's usually all the Excel injectors say. It says Excel right there. So Holley still sells these injectors apparently. They look a little different. They're not yellow anymore, but somebody's upgraded this thing, and hopefully these 40 pounds are enough after we get done with it. But we'll see when we start tuning. So yeah, these are EV1 Bosch style injectors from Excel, so we'll know what to program. So now we're going to go ahead and put our injector harness on. Looks like this is the even side, so that'll go to the other side. Holley's nice enough to have all these labeled. So like there's injector 5, there's injector 7. Got the little labels. So we'll start at the back here with 7 and work our way around. So Chevrolet starts number 1 on the left side, driver's side. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. And we'll hook these up, and then we'll hook these bad boys up. Well, this was a pretty easy deal here. They're all labeled Ford and GM for the coil packs. So this is its own separate coil pack harness. So GM, I got number 2, number 4, number 6, and number 8. So there's your individual coil packs hooked up. So that harness comes back, and these harnesses have their own ground. So I will ground that to the head, and that circuit will be completed, and then this just plugs into the harness. They're labeled odd and even on the harness itself. Right here. Yep. So that will be done, and then we just got a few more hot wires to hook up. We got some for the injectors, and the coil. Let's see, these are the coil packs, so we'll hook those up to a switched hot, and we've got to make our grounds, and we'll just be wrapping up here on top. Oh, we got to get the cam sensor in, or the dual sync distributor, basically, and we'll just not put a cap on that. So that'll be one of the next things. So I've now got the car up on lift, and we're going to change out the O2 sensor. Actually, I already changed it out. It already had a place welded in for the other fuel injection, so we put the new one in. With the Terminator X, we have to, with this harness, we have to do an adapter. So basically their setup comes with this adapter, and that adapts into their harness, and then into the O2 sensor plug. So I'll do all that. I'll take the extra and tie it up here on the side of the transmission, so it's out of the way. We don't want to have to change the length on any of that stuff. So we'll do that, and we're getting close to being ready to fire this thing up. So the last connection I have to make is for the ignition. We need switched power to start everything up. So I found the one going to the old ECU. Looks correct because it is a pink wire, which is usually GM ignition. And we will hook this one up, and I'll get our laptop out, and then we'll be ready to fire this thing up. So I'll leave some slack. It's usually when I do a butt connection like this, do some of our shrink tube with the adhesive in it. And I found these little sleeves, and basically the wires connect to each other then, and you crimp it on. Well, if I can hold my mouth right. There we go. Give that a good crimp. Again, I use my thumb as my placement. And then I heat her up. So these adhesive seals, it just makes it like the wire sheath is continuing on then, because it's all glued to it. And like even if you pulled on it with that seal, it wouldn't even allow it to go anywhere. So I think that's the last connection. So I'll zip tie all this up. I'll mount the ECU up under here and connect our 3 plugs, and that's it. Okay, so I got everything hooked up, and I turned the key on and uploaded a file I had created for this engine, and now we need to set this dual sync distributor. So I've got it sitting on 50 degrees, floor top dead center. Already gone through that and checked it. So the way we'll set this up is, well, there's 2 lights down here. One on the left says crank, one on the right says cam. So we'll rotate the base of the distributor till we get the crank light on. There it comes on, and then we'll turn it back till it cuts off. Right there. Now we're set. So we'll tighten down the distributor, and you can see there's a little screw right here, and they say to actually have that pointing towards that screw when you start, and that's what we did. So now we're at that's basically where number 1 is. So, and we're at 50, it says at 50 degrees, that's our reference angle. So this would be pointing at number 1, so we'll take this rotor cap off now, and we'll just put the billet cap on top of that, because we don't need it, because we have the smart coils, so it'll fire them off of those. I thought I'd show you this cap. This is pretty cool. Holley has everything so modular, it goes right along with all the GM stuff. It's just that it's so easy to work on. And they have everything. So this, yeah, they have this billet cap that goes on, so you don't have to run a distributor cap. So now it is a dual sync, which means it's cam and crankshaft signal. So we got both of them out of one. Then it makes a sequential fuel injection. So we're going to control the smart coils as well as the injectors off of this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're going to set up our ECU, and first of all we want to go into our ECU configuration. That is under this, we pull that down. ECU configuration, it's Terminator X, and engine parameters, it is an 8-cylinder, 383 cubic inch. We're running on gasoline. We're doing a VE base. We checked the fuel pressure, and we are running 43 psi. And there's across the Excel injectors over to a 42-pound Holley. So that's what we're using in here as our reference. And then for ignition, to set up the ignition, we go to custom under this drop down menu. You can see there's all kinds of good stuff in here under that. There's like magnetic, Holley dual sync. There's a lot of different ones depending on what you're working with. But we're going to do custom, and what that does is it pulls this box up, allows us to change what we're doing. So we are on a crank sensor, 1 pulse per fire, because it has 4 magnets, so it'll fire 4 times for every revolution. The digital falling means that it's going to catch it on the falling edge of the magnet. When the magnet, because it on the digital rising, it'll be on the when it first recognizes the magnet. So we're doing it on the back edge. So once it goes past it, the cam sensor, we got single pulse, and it's also digital falling. And we put on here DIS coil on plug because we have the smart coils. And so that's our ignition parameters. And then sensor scales, we're really not getting into that. We're just using the ones we have. So we have throttle position sensor. We don't have speed. All these are already set, so I'm not gonna mess with those. Basic inputs and outputs, gotta go through that. We set up the fans to come on. Fan comes on at 175, off at 174. So we got it cutting on a little bit early so it doesn't, make sure it doesn't get hot. No air conditioning or anything right now. All this is set up, inputs and outputs. We just have to do the one. We're using a ground trigger for the fan. We're grounding out our relay. So that's set up. Then what else do we have? I think that's it. Idle speed, all that stuff will be good. IX settings. We're doing a GM LSX stepper motor style because it's on the that's what we already have. Actually, I can tell you I've already gone through all this, and we took it to TK to KP Fab and Tune. He tuned it. We had problems with the charge pipe coming off. Had some bad clamps and stuff on it, so we didn't get a full deal, but he did tune it to drive for drivability and everything, and it worked great. I actually drove it home from there out in Riverside, so it's about an hour's drive, and I drove it home from the tuner, and it worked great. So in fact, I drove it there and drove it back, and everything worked great. So all the system works well, and yeah, that's how we went through all this. So there we have it. Got everything. It's all cleaned up now, and owner has actually took it home and drove it some. And one change we made is on this thing is we took and changed out his original throttle cable, and we had this cam from another thing. We had machined this out of billet for another project we were working on. This gives him a little lighter throttle response. With the manual in this car, it was super hard to take off. So this way it actually makes a progressive linkage, so it starts out easy and then it goes faster as you get into the throttle. But man, what a nice setup this wound up being. We didn't get a full horsepower rating on it because of the charge pipe deal, but man, this thing drives great, and yeah, looking forward to doing some more of these videos like this, and hope y'all enjoyed it.